right, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. We are Doc and Mav of ReadySetCrypto. Welcome aboard. Welcome to our live show. This is today's Wednesday, the 19th of January. We'll be here for about the next half hour or so talking about markets. Mav's got some interesting things for you guys. Do us a favor when you get on board, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, smash those likes, and help us defeat the algorithm and let other people know that we're on board here. Welcome aboard, everybody. Let us know where you're coming in from. We'll get started here in just a minute. We want to get everybody on board first before we get going.
Hello, hello. Where's everybody coming in from?
We had a hell of a storm this past week coming up through the East Coast. So we even got some snow here in South Carolina.
Winter is in full swing. In multiple senses of that.
Yeah, we got
crypto winter as well.
One winter at a time.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Lord of Fjords is coming in from Ontario. We have Crypto Bulls from LA. Rajith, hey, how you doing, Rajith? We have Nicholas from Newport Beach. We have Quantum Crypto from Long Beach, right down the road there. And we have Vod from not sure where. Let's see. Hey, Video Link, how you doing? Barry, Digibyte Barry. All right. We'll definitely get a Digibyte read on this. All the money's made in the winter. That could be true. Could be true. All right. We got Christian from Austria coming on board. Guys, welcome aboard. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button as we get started here. We'll get started with some words of wisdom from Mav here shortly. Hey, Heinz, how are we doing out there? Heinz coming in from North Carolina. SoCal through Crypto Cube. Welcome aboard, dude. All right, everybody. Yeah, let us know what where you are coming in. We find that interesting. Normally, we got people from all over the world coming in here. We've had folks from North Korea, I think, is one of the more obscure places that we've had. If we could believe it, right? Like, how do you get on?
I don't know about that one.
Maybe some of those Starlink satellites. Elon was able to put one in low Earth orbit over North Korea. They haven't shot it down yet. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely, later on after Mav goes, the way we do these things is Mav will have some unique words of wisdom for you guys here to start things off in just a second. And then what I'll do is I'll bring up the tail end of the parade and we'll do some technical analysis. We'll look at the charts. We'll see what's going on. We'll give you guys some levels that you can work around. We'll tell you what I see. And then I love to take your requests on coins. So if you want to fire those things in as we're coming in. So if you've got a coin in particular you want to look at, let me know what the cost basis is. Like usually I'm going to refer to things versus the US dollar unless you say otherwise. So fire on. All right, Mav, what you got for us today?
Cool. So I think I will start off by talking about the main subject of today's stream, which is sort of these secrets that I kind of wish someone had told me when I was getting started into the space. And right now I know that there's not a lot of people getting into the crypto space. Those watching have probably been around the block for a little while, but I think it bears repeating or bears definitely emphasizing these sort of, I call them secrets, but really these are best practices, if you will. These are the sort of things that you should be bearing in mind as you just navigate the space, you follow it, you're doing what you're doing right now, which is being involved in some capacity of, just understanding what's going on, where the space is going, how it's evolving, what to watch, etc. So you're doing a great job, first and foremost. But I think the first thing I wanted to talk to people about, or kind of help people to understand how to play the crypto game, right? This is a sort of game, if you will, is understanding how not to follow the influencers in the space. I think one of the biggest traps that people fall into is they search on websites like this one They look for, what is crypto, or how to get started with crypto. And very easily, these big influencers come up, and they just kind of swindle them into believing a certain view of the crypto space or way of operating in it. And I think that's kind of the wrong way to go about things. And hey, don't get me wrong, as a pseudo influencer myself, I want to be the first to tell you that I've met a lot of the people that you've probably watched on other channels. And, they're not bad people per se, but everybody's got a motive. Everybody's got something, they're pushing, or they're not telling you. And the way I correlate it, or the way I try to understand if someone is not worth watching, is the more that they do these like silly thumbnails of like big face emotion reaction type stuff, the less I want to watch them, because I feel as though that's kind of discounting to their validity and their credibility a little bit. Now, some people like Coin Bureau, for example, they do a pretty good job. I think he's got a lot there, but he does the sort of these crazy, just over the top thumbnails and things like that. So just try to. It's always good to get your information from multiple sources, but don't rely on any one influencer or personality to tell you how to think or how to operate in this space. I just want to stress that more than anything. The second thing I wanted to stress is how to stay away from the tribalism in the space. I think that's the other big sand trap that people fall into when they're getting involved with the space, when they're brand new to it, or even if they've been around for a little while. They get suckered into some really nice sales pitch or some vision of what is going to be the next big thing, right? We've probably fallen for that ourselves, in some capacity. There's always really interesting things going on in the space. And sometimes we make the mistake of believing more than what is, reality or what's going to be reality. And that can be unfortunate, because if you put a lot of stock and you put a lot of faith into a project and it doesn't quite, pan out, either because they sort of abandoned it, or there was a rug pull, or it just doesn't go anywhere. That can be kind of disheartening. And I think for a lot of people who are getting into the space and are excited by it, that's sort of one of the moments where they get really disheartened, and they start to say, oh, well, maybe crypto is just not as exciting or worth pursuing as much as I thought. And I wish that weren't the case. I wish people tried to sort of levy their expectations against reality a little bit better, especially when we're dealing with a space that's all about innovation. It's all about what's coming next. What's the next big thing? Try to set your expectations a little lower, or try to have a better, more realistic view of things. And I think you'll be disappointed a little bit less. It goes without saying, I suppose, but especially in this space, especially in comment sections, probably like the one right now, you'll see people talking about coins, and you'll see them just shouting from the rooftops. And like I said about the influencers, everybody's got a motive of some kind. Either that person's a bag holder, or they're being paid to shill that project in comment sections like this one. Everybody's got some sort of incentive to do something like that. If they're screaming about it from the rooftops, I don't want to be involved with that, whatever project they're involved in. So that just, I want to stress those two things more than anything else. Just try to stay above the fold. Don't follow the investing herd. Don't follow the social herd. Try to form your own opinions from multiple sources. Try to form a portfolio based off of multiple different ways of looking at the market or how to split it up. I think that also helps to elicit another point I want to make, which is learn how to spot a bad project. And this is really tough. This takes time. This takes a lot of experience. This takes, just really starting to, I would say, trying to second guess even your own beliefs. Because when we get excited by something, when there's a project that's doing something new and it doesn't have any competition, or maybe it's doing something so different from its competition, that's cool. The disruptive factor of this space is definitely something that's really, we want to see more of that. But at the same time, when there's just, there's more and more promises, more and more marketing spend, generally there goes less into the R&D and the sort of things that need to take place to make these blockchain projects happen. simple matter is that it takes time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of money to build in this space. It's not easy. And so for things to kind of like for them to speculate out, hey, this is going to go to the moon next week, tomorrow, that sort of thing, they're getting you to buy into this FOMO aspect when really it's just a white paper and a promise. This is something we've seen over and over again for the last couple of years. And I don't think that's going to go away, even though we're seeing new sort of trends in the space, like, play to earn or metaverse or NFTs or anything like that. Same old scam, just different names, different places, different ways of doing it. But at the end of the day, it's you want the ability to have a fundamental way of evaluating a project, be that looking at what's going on at the fundamental level, from what are they trying to do? Are they different from their competition? How are they doing it, et cetera? What is the team like? What is the opportunity like? And is there a framework? Is there some sort of way that they're going to achieve that sort of success that they're looking for? So this is all to say, just try to trade dispassionately in the space. Try to not buy into the tribalism or anything to that regard. I think the last thing I want to impress upon people, especially if you're getting started in the space, is there is this just overwhelming trumpeting of HODL. It is this like religion almost. And for the sort of people who have been around for, a really long time, hey, HODL's great. If you're in Bitcoin or Ethereum and you just want to HODL that, that's awesome. There's no part of me that wants to discourage you from doing that, because they're the biggest. They've been established. They are, a big chunk of the crypto market. They've weathered many storms. Okay. So it's okay for you to put aside a large chunk of that, use that as sort of your nest egg. No matter what your risk tolerance is, no matter what your time frame or horizon is for, where you want your crypto to go, how you want it to support you. Having a good chunk of the two, the crypto gold or silver, I think won't hurt you in any regard. Now, when we get outside of that, when we start to get into the smaller projects, when we start to get into these micro caps and these moonshots, hodling those is almost always a bad move. Now, it can pay off 1 out of 100 times, and you can ride that thing to the moon, and bam, you're a millionaire, and that's awesome. But I want you to understand that story that gets repeated like that happens a minority of the time. It does not happen to most people. It takes time and effort. And frankly, time in the market beats timing the market almost every time. So don't get this sense that you can just pick a needle out of a haystack and, put a bunch of money behind it and bam, it just goes 50x or 100x. And, suddenly you're sipping Mai Tais by the beach next to your Lambo or something like that. That is a wonderful fairy tale to tell to people, especially getting into the space. But for the vast majority of the people, what they need to hear is the opposite, and that you need to take the time to build up an understanding, build up a diversified portfolio of multiple different assets with multiple different risk exposures in this space. Don't go all in on just a single moonshot. Please, I'm begging you, don't do that because you'll save yourself so much pain. And if you've already done that before, if you have a incredibly heavy bag right now, learn from that. Don't let that happen again. Try to not repeat that same mistake. So those are some of the hacks or secrets, if you will. And maybe if you've been around the block before, you understand these. It should be like, chiseled into stone at this point. But for even people who've been around for a while, I think it just bears repeating that one day, I don't know when in the future, but we'll see the market go right back up. We'll see Bitcoin chasing 100K. We'll see these opportunities in front of us. And I want us to take this time while the market's sort of down and depressing a little bit, crypto winter, to really reflect and understand the opportunity in front of us, so that when we get to that point of opportunity, that we're not making the same mistakes we did before. So that is sort of Mav's moment of wisdom here. But hopefully you guys got something out of that. And yeah, I think, Doc, if you want to take over and start talking about the charts and some of the projects we should be looking at right now, I think it's a great time to be doing so.
I just want to add a little bit of color to
Sure.
what you said, because you talked about tribalism, you talked about following, influencers and shills and stuff like that. And unfortunately, what you're talking about is absolute human nature, right? And this is the way things work for most of the ventures that you're going to get into. What you do is you find some smart people and you copy what they do, and then you're able to succeed with them until you get to financial markets. Have you guys ever noticed that when, hopefully you've never been in a car accident before yourself, but for those of you who have, did you notice that your story or what you saw was different from the person that hit you or that you hit? And this is so common, right? Is that two people can look at the same exact thing and see something completely different in it. Cue the politics coin here. This is what's called cognitive bias. Human beings are just prone to cognitive bias. You're going to see what you want to see. So this is what happens. Like what Mav was saying, is that you follow somebody on YouTube or you get a really cool TikTok and you're like, hey, I like that person. That person looks really smart and I believe everything that person says. So maybe they've got an axe to grind. Maybe they got a coin to shill. Maybe they did a paid project or something like that they have to get out there and pump this thing up, right? That could happen without them really saying anything about it. So in your mind, you're going to lock in on that person and their advice and say, well, I'm all in. And conveniently, you're going to ignore everything about it because this is what humans do, cognitive bias. You're not going to see everything right in front of you. You're not going to see the landmines. You're going to conveniently skip right over them. And this is what happens to people where, 3 months later, you're like, what happened? How could this have happened here? And then, your first reaction is to blame the influencer or the shill. And that's not the way it works in financial markets. You've got to take 100% of the accountability for every decision that you make. Okay? So understand how the brain works, because everybody has this same issue, right? Everybody is going to see what they want to see. And we see that in the chat sometimes. We see the tribalism. We see people pumping stuff just because they're holding on to the bags and they want it to go higher. And so they want to tell everybody else about it. And so we're not only seeing that in the crypto market, we're also seeing it in Wall Street Bets. All of Wall Street Bets is just one big shill subreddit now. It's gotten out of hand. And now they're crying in their beer. Okay, so with that in mind, let me go over to the charts, and I'll talk a couple of minutes about the top two here, and then I'll start on your request. Again, this is my North Star. This is Bitcoin versus the US dollar. Okay, so let's get the magic pen going here. And this is the log chart. This is the magic, or not the magic, but this is the monthly log chart, right? So the log chart is set right down here. And notice that it's not really even, it's come from a higher high. It's had 3 crappy months, but it's not the end of the world. We went through even worse back here in the spring, right after this moonshot that we had, right? So we're coming off a higher high, hasn't printed a higher low yet. We'd have to go all the way down to 28 for that to happen. And quite honestly, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to come down and hit the swing test here, which is going to be roughly 20,000. And that would come right in play, and we'd still have the same polarity for this. What you'll find out is that financial markets, if you want them to go higher, you have to go down first. They can't always just keep going higher, right? So what you have to do is you have to create the conditions necessary to create absolutely negative sentiment. That doesn't make sense, right? You think that positive sentiment would make markets go higher. Nope, it doesn't work that way. What you want is you want negative sentiment. You want the market to be so negative that everybody is convinced it's all going to just fall apart the next day. Why? Because what this does is that it encourages everybody with any kind of position size to short the market. And what happens is the institutional bulls at some point will lay in wait for value, and when they do, they will hit it. They will hit it hard. So you complain about whales, you complain about bears, but this is how markets work. I don't care what it is, right? They're always going to work the same way. So anyway, that's the North Star. If we go down to the weekly chart, we do have a little bit of a pattern here, which is a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern. Everybody's talking about it, but it's not really releasing yet. So it makes me think that it could fail. So here's what I want you to watch in terms of levels. Right now, this is our decision box. Our decision box is just below 40. Let's just call this 40,000 on the downside. The upside is 44. If we print a higher low here, if this breaks through this descending trend line and we get a short squeeze with volume, this could be an explosive move, but it's going to have to be above 44 to get anything going. So any pop that's inside of this box has got to get outside 44 to make some hay. Otherwise, what we have is rule number one of fractal energy says that larger time frames dominate the trend. We have a larger time frame downtrend right now in play. So we should expect to see at the very least this tested down here. But if it still puts in a higher low and squeezes, this could be what we're looking for. So again, our box is 40,000 up to 44. If we go over to Ethereum, I have the same thing going on here. You know, if you want to ask about a coin and whether or not it's good, let the market tell you what it's thinking about it. And this is what the market's thinking. Right now, actually, Ethereum is not that bad. However, we do have the same decision box here, 3,400 down to just below 3,000. This is going to be a little bit of a tough nut to crack to get above 3,400 and to get above this descending trend line and the 200-day moving average. So if it does rally from here, I'm expecting failure at 3,400. So to me, that's going to be a tough nut to crack in the short term, eventually going to build up enough energy to break through here. But it still looks like a pretty good chart. This is still just a larger time frame consolidation. Okay, so I'm going to go into some of the coins that you guys have talked about. So first of all, we're going to go into Digibyte. Every week, it's Digibyte week, right? Okay, so, and it still is a broken chart. It still is a broken chart, which is in a really bad weekly chart pattern. And so I would say avoid this one until it's able to get above 4 cents. 4 cents would be the beginning of a change in polarity to the upside. If you're still holding it right now, I guess you're committed to the long term. Okay, next one that we got a request for was XRP, our tribalistic Ripple. And Ripple is in a very, very large consolidation pattern right now. Very, very large. In fact, we have got to zoom way out to the weekly chart at this point to even see it, right? So overall, what this is doing is this is building a great big head, or excuse me, cup with handle pattern, but the handle pattern is so complex, I think it's on its own. But before this one is going to move at all, it's going to have to break out above $1 here. It's going to have to break above that descending trend line. It's got all kinds of overhead obstacles to clear before it's going to get going. But this was a good move, but right now we're in a big, big consolidation pattern. Okay, let's see. Next one we have here is one I have not heard of, XCUR. Okay, this is Curate, and we're going to do this one versus Tether. Okay, initially I'm looking at the weekly chart here. The weekly chart basically has very little trend at all. If I were to stick a gun to my head and said, what's the trend here? I would say it's to the downside. But very, very slappy chart. For this one to get anywhere, it's going to have to break above 3. So $3 is your magic level to start the process of fixing this broken chart. Okay, next one is PYR. Next one I have here, PYR. See if we can find this one. This is PYR versus Tether. And this is not just broken, but this is fairly hopeless right now. So PYR versus Tether. And again, don't take this personally if I, trash on your coin here. I'm just looking at the price chart. What I'm relaying is what the market thinks of this project, not what I think of it. So this is definitely going to have to break above 16 to get anywhere at all right now. I would say definitely avoid this one like the plague. Next one, and I think this is the last one that I caught, was OMI. And this one is actually relatively good. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so this is an example of something where you've got sort of a forward downtrend. And what's my rule number 3? Rule number 3 says that descending patterns break to the upside. Descending patterns break to the upside. So this is like a larger time frame flag pattern. This is, not a bad pattern here. Not a bad coin. This is what we're going to see, though. During corrective markets, you're going to see altcoins. For those of you that are asking, when is alt season is going to be very selective. You'll get these coins that moon like this, and then they get wrecked on the downside. One that we saw a few days ago was like Rose. Rose was ripping. The rest of the market was getting trashed. Rose was ripping, and now it's getting whack-a-mole on the backside of this thing. Whether or not it can hold the swing test here at 46, I'm not sure. Okay, let's see if there's any other ones that have come in while we're talking about this. Okay, Polymath, Lyra. Let's look at Lyra or Lyra. Okay, this is the only way I can chart it. Wow, that's quite a move. That's quite a move. So this is one of these 1 week wonders that we have. I don't know where you trade this thing. Suppose you can find that on CoinMarketCap or whatever. That's definitely pumping. So this is my point, right? So you're going to get these vague altcoins you've never heard of, which are going to pump based on some rumor somewhere. And then at some point, they are going to have a hairy back, is what we call them. Okay, Cardano. Let's see. Let's look at Cardano. I almost hate to look at this, but there we go. There's Cardano. Cardano started the process that I talked about last week by getting above 1.6, but just did not have the volume. So if you're going to break out from a pattern, you got to have volume, guys. Got to have this big volume here that's like this. No volume, you can't trash the bears. You got to have volume to break out of these patterns. So that's Cardano right now. Okay, let's see what else. Heinz is looking for sand. Let's look at sand here. Okay, sand is not bad, although this is somewhat turning into, what I don't like about this is turning into a descending triangle. Descending triangle is a bearish pattern where you have equal lows along here, and then you just keep on making lower highs along the way. So a descending triangle like this eventually will, the measured move is right here, this delta here. So whatever this delta ends up being, right now this doesn't look great, but it can save itself by breaking out above this and starting to print new highs, and that would have to come above 520. So I forget what this one is called. I have this one somewhere. Sandbox, I think it is. Okay, let's see. Moonbeam. All right, let's see if I can find Moonbeam. I don't think I'm going to find Moonbeam on here. Sorry, guys. IMX. Let's see if I can find IMX. Okay, IMX is another. If you want to know which direction something's going, go out to the weekly chart and ask yourself: is this moving higher or is this moving lower? If it's moving lower, if it's making lower highs and lower lows, it should be on a void. If you own it, and again, this was an answer I gave to somebody. Somebody was saying, "Where do you take profits on stuff?" Here's the best thing that you could do for yourself. I'm going to go back to the middle here for a second. Here's the best thing you can do, guys, to learn how to take profits. before you enter, take 5 minutes and say, all right, if I'm going to enter this, where's my harvest, right? So to borrow some terms that somebody else was posting in the chat, where's the harvest? When am I going to harvest this thing? If I get everything right, and if this thing takes off to the upside, when am I going to take profits? If I'm wrong, and if it goes in the opposite direction, when am I going to exit this? Do that before you enter. Okay, I know it's a radical concept because everybody in here, every time you enter something, it's going to go straight up, right? You can hold it forever and moon. It's usually not the way things happen, right? So understand how to set your profit targets and exits. That's what I call rule number 1 of risk management. Okay, so we're going a little long here. I'm going to wrap up. Sorry if I didn't get to your coin. And, perhaps we'll do it next week, or we could also do it in our Discord room as well, too.
Awesome. Cool. Well, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. As always, market is in a tenuous state right now with, we have a congressional hearing on crypto tomorrow. Probably is going to be interesting to watch, as well as some tensions right now between Russia and Ukraine. Just general everyday kind of stuff, nothing to get too concerned about. But, I think no matter what, this space will continue to weather whatever storm is ahead of us, and we'll do that together. So as always, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Doc, if you want to talk about, you've been putting out some videos recently on our other channel, Ready Set Trade. I've linked the video down below, just kind of talking about how to be a better trader, right?
I've been doing all kinds of content lately. So there's, I'm putting out the market minute. So every day I'm going to put out like a 5-minute video, market minute. And I'm also going to get on TikTok and YouTube Shorts with just like the thought of the day. Like if you want to get started in trading, how do you get started? There's a very defined path to being successful in trading. I've not seen anybody venture off the path and be successful. There's one very defined path that you have to follow to get there. And so if you want to know those keys, like this is what I do. I'm trying to help people navigate that path so that they can be successful without learning the same hard lessons that I had to go through the same time. So just look at our Ready Set Trade YouTube channel. There's all kinds of content there you can find.
Awesome. Well said. Yeah. And as always, don't forget to also check out our other communities. We got ReadySet Vision, which is teaching on-chain analysis, which is quickly becoming the way to kind of outsmart the crypto markets as you're using blockchain data. It's really intense stuff, but it's really just, if you want the best tool out there to get a macro view of what's going on in the crypto space, on-chain analysis is your way to go. Otherwise, ReadySetCrypto exists for anyone looking to learn more about cryptocurrency, how to trade it, how to get involved, all this sort of stuff. That's what we embody. We're all about uncomplicating crypto and making crypto simple. So our Discord is free to join, and it's down in the bio below, as well as some other resources. But like Doc said, we're here every Wednesday doing this stream, and hopefully when we're talking to you in a week, we'll have a little bit more of a positive market to discuss. But regardless, I think it's we're in this together, and this is what we do. So thanks very much for hanging out with us, and until the next one, take care out there, guys. Cheers.
Everybody be good. We'll see you soon. Bye now.